Hello students, today we would discuss a poem, My Native Land, written by Sir Walter Scott. The poem centers on the theme of nationalism, patriotism and intense love for our motherland. The title of the poem, My Native Land, of course keeps us focused on the theme of patriotism and deep connection with one's land and country. Sir Walter Scott's poem My Native Land is designed to discuss the importance of one's native land. He wishes to evoke a sense of pride and love for one's own country in his readers. The poem has passionate and inspiring tone and it aims at awakening patriotism in country facing a political crisis and evoking an unquestioning loyalty to the motherland. In the poem My Native Land, the speaker asks if there can be any person who has not been proud of his native land, thereby suggesting that every person is patriotic, that every person rejoices on returning home from his sojourn in alien countries. Just in case there is one who does not love his country, he is like a living dead. No one will care for him despite his power, titles and wealth. Such a man who has been self-centered will die without leaving a mark in people's memory. He will go back to the dust from where he has come, with no one weeping for him, honoring him, or singing his praises. Now, children, let's have a look at the poet's profile. So, Sir Walter Scott was born on August 15, 1771 and he died on September 21, 1832. He is a Scottish historical novelist, poet, playwright and historian. His famous works include The Lady of the Lake, narrative poem, and the novels Waverley, Old Mortality, or The Tale of Mortality, Rob Roy, The Heart of Midlothian, The Bride of Lammermoor, and Ivanhoe. Primarily remembered for his extensive literary works and his political engagement, Scott was an advocate, judge, and legal administrator by profession. Throughout his career, he kept writing and editing with his daily occupation as a lawyer and a judge. So now, children, we would begin the poem My Native Land. Breathes there the man with soul so dead, who never to himself hath said, "This is my own, my native land." The first few lines immediately pick up on the theme of nationalism and patriotism by arguing that there can never be a man with soul so dead that he is not able to wonder at and appreciate his native land. In other words, a person who does not selflessly sacrifice for his own country and does not have a sense of belongingness to his or her nation, then the person possesses a soul which is almost dead. He believes that a person with no love for his country is emotionally dead even if he or she is physically alive. So in these lines, the poet questions the existence of a person with no love for his country and considers soul of an unpatriotic person even if he is living as dead. Let's read the next lines of the poem. whose heart hath never within him burned, as home his footsteps he hath turned, from wandering on a foreign strand. In these lines, the poet suggests that every person is patriotic and rejoices on returning from his sojourn in alien countries. So the poet tells us that no matter how much wealth we earn in foreign countries, or no matter how much respect we gain in a foreign land, but the joy of coming back to our own country is matchless. Just in case there is one who does not love his country, he is like the living dead. His heart, a patriotic person's heart should burn with love for his country when he returns from foreign travels. If such there breathe, go, mark him well, for him no minstrel raptures swell. The poet says, or tries to explain to his readers, that if there exists such a person who doesn't feel the longing for his motherland and does not want to return from foreign land, and his heart doesn't swell with pride and happiness on his return because he believes that he could earn great wealth and reputation in a foreign country, then that particular person is worthless, for no musician will ever sing songs of praise of his brave deeds. High though his titles, proud his name, boundless his wealth as wish can claim, despite those titles, power and pelf, the wretch concentered all in self. So the poet exaggerates and the has exaggerated in the poem, and the exaggeration continues here. He says that no matter um, no matter how much wealth one earns, no matter how big titles a person get, and no matter how powerful one becomes, but all these accomplishments will not give a person enough credibility. In the poet's view, it is feeling of patriotism that will earn a person respect. So, whatever be his personal accomplishments, if he has no love for his nation and his fellow men, he would be considered as a selfish person who deserves no respect in society. So, children, the stanza which we are going to do now is the last stanza of the poem, My Native Land. Let's read it. Living shall forfeit fair renown, and doubly dying shall go down to the vile dust from whence he sprung, unwept, unhonored, and unsung. So, in these lines, the poet says that an unpatriotic person's life loses all fame and reputation. So, here in the first line, living shall forfeit fair renown. Forfeit means loses, and fair renown means good reputation and fame. So a person who lives and has no feeling for his motherland loses all his reputation and fame, and doubly dying shall go down to the vile dust from whence he sprung, unwept, unhonored, and unsung. In these lines, the poet says the person with no love for his country dies a double death: the physical death of all mortals and the emotional death from being wiped out from people's memories. So the poet says if a person is an unpatriotic person, he will not be remembered by his fellow countrymen. The speaker implies that being forgotten after death would be worse than physical death because people hope to be alive in the memories of their loved ones after their death. This seems like a harsh punishment. However, it is the viewpoint of a patriot speaking to his countrymen, and therefore these views seem extreme. So let's look at the rhyme scheme of the poem. First 6 lines have the rhyming scheme of A A, B C C, B. Dead, set, land burnt, turned, strand, and the rest are couplets. The poetic device that has been used is alliteration. As all of you know that alliteration is a figure of speech in which a series of sounds, consonant sounds are repeated. So here in the poem, sir sound in soul and so is repeated. Himself hath, her sound has been repeated. Again, heart hath, her sound has been repeated. Wealth has wish, so were sound has been repeated. Par and pelf, pelf means children money, so here per sound has been repeated. Forfeit, fair, so fir sound has been repeated here. Unwept, unhonored, unsung, so a sound has been repeated. The other poetic device that has been used in the poem is hyperbole. Hyperbole actually is derived from a Greek word meaning excess. It is a figure of speech that uses extreme exaggeration to make a point or show emphasis. So the last line of the poem, which is unwept, unhonored and unsung, is a hyperbole. The line means that no one will weep for an unpatriotic person, no one will honor his memory, and no one will sing his praises. I hope you have understood the poetic devices. Now we would discuss the theme of the poem. So children, the theme of the poem is patriotism and nationalism. The poet Walter Scott very powerfully underlines the feeling of patriotism and belonging to one's own country, and comments that anyone who has not felt proud of about his country should be considered dead, or his titles, riches and achievements never find their mention in the history, and his actions being driven by selfish motives would make his life futile. He would be doubly dying without any honor and dignity. So he emphasizes on the fact that patriotism is the core of a person's existence. If a person exists, then he should be thankful, he should be grateful to his or her mother land. So very strongly, Sir Walter Scott sends across the message of patriotism and nationalism to his readers. Dear children, we do remember people who have sacrificed their lives for the country, like valiant Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, Vallabhbhai Patel, and many other great figures. They are still remembered and have turned immortal as they continue to live in our memory. But we certainly don't remember people who became traitors and sided with the enemy country for their petty personal interests. So, children, do work honestly for the progress of your motherland, no matter which part of the world you live in. But remember your roots and think about your nation's welfare and help in your country's progress. I hope all of you have understood this poem well, and your further doubts would be cleared in the online class. Thank you and Jai Hind.